Welcome to Talking Giants presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pinnock. And we got a lot to talk about. We got to talk about the 53-man roster, how that's shaped up. We got 5 waiver claims. We've got, some other, practice squad stuff, guys like Tony Jefferson. But most of all, we got hit with a surprise a couple hours before we record this podcast. And that is the New York Giants cut Blake Martinez. Very surprising move, Justin. Just because really no one saw it coming, even though there will be blue checks who pretend that they did see it coming, even though they never said that it was coming until one day ago when he had a excused leave of absence. So there's a lot to unpack, and there is still some unknown because I guess there was some rifts within the team. But it sucks that this happened now instead of March, or even happened at all.
Yeah, even happened at all, happened in March. Regardless, came out of left field. Bobby Skinner, what do we consider? So Leonard Williams, best player on the defense, right? Xavier McKinney, number 2. Adoree Jackson, number 3. And then a Blake Martinez coming off an ACL injury. We would still consider the 4th best player on the defense, question mark?
Yeah, depending on how he looked, it would be like him or Dexter Lawrence or Azeez Ojulari. So, but anyways, let's get into it. This was a surprise because of when it happened. Like in March, when we were getting ready for free agency and stuff, we kind of forecasted as Blake Martinez as a possible cut.
And fine with it.
Yeah, definitely fine with it. Because the Giants were in a bad cap situation. This is the first year of a rebuild, so that moves like that are going to have to be made, like similar to James Bradbury. Like you gotta swallow the pill on that at times. But we were excited because the Giants restructured his contract, and Blake Martinez took a significant pay cut. And this tweet from Duggan with the contract details from March said, "Had the Giants just cut Martinez, they would have saved $8.5 million with $5.5 million in dead money. So they passed on $2.2 million in savings to have Martinez on the roster, which is obviously understandable. 2022 is the final year of his contract, so no impact on the 2023 cap either way." So it's just, it's not the biggest L, but it is an L for Joe Schoen because they didn't have the foresight that this was going to happen. They could have spent $2 million less on Adoree Jackson's $5 million restructure that they did around the draft, because they've already had to restructure contracts, even though Joe Schoen didn't want to, So it just sucks that they did this now. And we'll talk about reasons why and why some arguments aren't great reasons, but it all boils down to just bad foresight to not see that this should have just happened in March and save that extra $2 million.
Yeah, I'm with you. And until we hear something, and if we ever hear anything about if there was something extra that was happening behind the scenes as to why it happened now and why it didn't happen in March, I'm going to go with that it is bad foresight by Joe Schoen and company.
Even if it is, you should have seen something coming.
Yeah, man. I don't even really care about was Wink Martindale hired before or after the restructure.
He was hired
before.
Care about that. He was hired before because it happened in March. So Wink Martindale was hired before it. So kind of talk about some reasons that have been thrown at us, and I've considered all, and I just don't agree with them. It's like, so people said he's not a scheme fit for Wink Martindale. Then again, why didn't you just cut him in March? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's been this propaganda coming out that he's just been horrible at camp and camp has been bad for him. Well, one, the Giants defense was causing havoc on the Giants offense, and we were out there. Blake Martinez looked pretty good. They were taking it slow with him, the first couple weeks that we were there. They would give Blake Martinez some series off, but he was in there working on 11-on-11s, and they would sub Darren Beavers in. But Darren Beavers only got time with the first team when Blake Martinez went out. And then when there was practice where Blake Martinez was the full go, Darren Beavers didn't get any first team reps. And he never subbed in for Tate Crowder. So it wasn't about they just like Darren Beavers more. And again, Darren Beavers tore his ACL. He's out for the season.
Which if Darren Beavers is here with the preseason and the training camp that he's having, I would still want Blake Martinez around. But I'd be like, okay, let's kind of roll with this and see what happens, I guess. But Darren Beavers tore his ACL,
Well, and you sub him in for Tate Crowder, Like Tate Crowder is not a good starting linebacker. He's better when he's next to Blake Martinez, but as now he's the Mike linebacker, and that's we've seen Tay Crowder in that role, and it's not going to be better in Wink Martindale's scheme. It might be a little better, but he's not going to be good. And then, like, Micah McFadden, you guys know I'm excited about Micah McFadden. I liked him more than Darian Beavers. I thought he played better than Darian Beavers in the preseason. McFadden's not a Mike Backer either. You know, he's a Will. So there should have been foresight for this. This is a team that it's not about winning this year. And, you know, they're in a bad cap situation. You know, like, they still might have to restructure some contracts this week, by the way. So they should have saved this $2 million and just cut them in March and planned accordingly, you know. So it's just every answer for it doesn't make sense, you know. And the idea that it was mutual, the only thing that I can think of that would make sense, because Blake Martinez was out there. He was back. He was his old self, you know, being, you know, friendly with the fans. He was engaged. He didn't get the green dot, but that's just a safety thing for Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale gives the green dot to his safeties.
Bobby, he wasn't voted captain.
Yeah, that's fan fiction saying that it wasn't because he was voted captain. So, you know, and that's on coaches. Like, hey, get your player. You know, keeping a team together and keeping guys, you know, mentally right is part of it. And Blake Martinez is a good guy, a happy guy, a smart guy. You know, it's not like we're dealing with someone who's just a problem in the locker room. So. I just, you know, it all comes down to they just should have done this in March.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, Blake Martinez wasn't so bad in camp that it changed, that something drastically changed from March till now.
No, he's also, you know, rehabbing from a torn ACL.
Yeah. So people are like, well, maybe he didn't come back great from the rehab. It's like, well, what did you expect with a guy from a torn ACL?
Who does come back awesome less than 12 months after tearing their ACL?
Like Dalvin Cook? It's like, yeah, and people are like, well, that's foresight. Like, hey, this guy's coming off of a torn ACL. You know, maybe he's not like that. That to me is like, well, no, duh. Like, I wasn't expecting Blake Martinez to be the same, but he still is a much better linebacker than what they have. Yeah. And Tay Crowder and Micah McFadden and Austin Calitro. So it's I made the joke that Wink Martindale said to don't get your corners on DoorDash. What he meant was just get your whole defense on DoorDash.
Yeah, there you go. there you go. Yeah, you want to hear our starting interior linebackers, right? At least as of right now, there still could be movement that happens around the roster, right? There's still 2 weeks left to the season. Cam Brown, Austin Calitro, Carter Coughlin, Tay Crowder, Micah McFadden. Those are the 5 that we got on the roster right now.
But my question to you is, what do you think is... Now, this is total speculation. He did miss for a personal day. Mm-hmm. There is something more to the story here.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
there is.
So the beat reporters who are giving us propaganda, don't give us propaganda. Find out.
Yeah, that's my thing, man. Where, you know, right now, why I'm not like outraged. Like, I was pretty mad after Logan Ryan because this
isn't Logan Ryan because there was
no, this isn't. This is just foresight and timing is weird and bad. Logan Ryan was just like, I just flat out don't agree with this, especially how thin the secondary is. So I was a little bit more frustrated with Logan Ryan than I am a little frustrated with Blake Martinez. But if there is something going on, BTS behind the scenes, find it out. Like, don't give me this BS. The quote that I saw from, you know, the ton of the check marks. Blake Martinez just never seemed to be a fit with the new coaching staff. Oh, yeah? Then, you know, at least I was there every day over the summer. You're there every day in the facility.
Nobody said that until Thursday.
Nobody said it until somebody heard something behind the scenes. And guess what? Then what is it?
Thursday.
What is it?
Thursday, after he missed a personal day. So figure out what that is and tell us, because that's your job, beat reporters. That's why you guys are different than us. You guys have Walker and access now.
You know? Then we shut up about it.
Yeah, figure out what was so bad that they couldn't, that Blake Martinez, you know, that they did this, and why was there no foresight that this would possibly happen? So, you know, like I asked, I was like, well, he wasn't. There was some rumors he wasn't happy with what his role was, but his role was the starting linebacker.
Yeah,
you know,
you're playing almost every snap.
Yeah, so like he was the start, like he was the number one linebacker on the depth chart. So, it's interesting, and it's I've said it a few times already, but this should have happened in March. This is the team that's rebuilding. It's not about winning this year, even though you don't want to put out a scrub roster. But it's not about winning this year. You could have saved $2 million. You could have made Adoree Jackson's a $3 million restructure instead of $5 million.
Yeah.
You know, like it was very foreseeable to see that Blake Martinez wasn't going to be the same player coming off of the torn ACL. He was on an expiring deal. Wink Martindale knew he was going to give the green dot to his safeties. That's something we talked about when, you know, we talked about that with Ken McCusick when he came on after we hired Wink Martindale in the beginning of February, that, hey, he's going to give the safety the green dot. That's something he started doing. Just because that guy's always going to be on the number one safety is always going to be on the field, where there's going to be times where Wink's going to want to run 4 edge sets.
Yes.
Or 4 inside linebacker sets, which means those guys will come off the field on occasion. Even if it is just a play or two, you want to have the safety doing the green dot. And he just likes having the safety have the green dot because the safety sees everything.
Oh, here we go. Theory. Jihad Ward, interior linebacker, because he's slow. I got another theory too, but give me your thoughts on that first.
I mean, that's just like, you're joking, right?
Okay, all right, so bad theory. Theory number 2. The Giants secondary is going to be so bad that now we want to try and entice teams to run the ball, because running the ball is less efficient than throwing the ball. That's why we cut Blake Martinez.
That's not the worst.
That's not real life? Or is that real life?
No, that's not real life, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst fan fiction I've ever heard.
You know what? Let's entice Tennessee to throw the ball a little bit more. Let's do that.
It's really not the worst fan fiction I've ever heard.
C-Mac, week 2, get out.
So, again, I've tried to figure, you know us, like, we are never the outrage people. We're always trying to find reasoning. It's just, every reason is like, okay, but why didn't this happen in March? Why couldn't you foresee this?
Yes.
Because it was everything that is mentioned is foreseeable. And people are like, well, his play dropped off. Well, yeah, he's coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah, duh. Very smart by Joe Shane, also having the press conference and then releasing Blake Martinez.
I think he did that with another thing. That is so, from our standpoint, that's like so annoying, but from his standpoint, it's the smartest thing ever to do something like that.
Thursday night, Friday, tomorrow, everybody's going to have their fantasy drafts. College football's back. Everybody's going to forget about this by Monday. People aren't even going to hear about it.
Daniel Jones, the 5th-year option, like 2 hours before the draft. I was like, thank you so much for doing this 2 hours before the draft, because we don't even have to talk about it. It's an obvious decision. We don't need to talk about it. All right.
All right. So really, how drastically does this change the outlook of the defense?
I think more so than people are giving it credit for, because Tay Crowder's not an inside linebacker 1, and now Mike McFadden's thrown into a starting role. And I would have felt a lot more comfortable if Mike McFadden was the starting inside linebacker 2 next to Blake compared to Tay. So it's just, and Blake is a guy who makes everyone look better. You know what I mean? Like he obviously gets all the tackles and stuff, but he makes guys look better. He made Tay Crowder look better. He allows guys to play a little more loose and free because he knows where the ball's going. Like, he's just a smart player and knows where to be at all times. And you don't just run in. Tackles aren't a great indicator of how good a player is, but you don't lead the league in tackles for 5 years in a row by being a bad player. And he was a good player for the Giants. Coming off a torn ACL, I wasn't expecting anything great. He didn't look amazing in the preseason either, even though he did set some stuff up for Tay to make some plays. But it does. I think it impacts the defense more significantly than people will give it credit for, because you know how it is. Like when we cut James Bradbury, and it's like, well, Aaron Robinson, give him a shot. Young guys play, and everyone's down with it. And then you see Aaron Robinson play, and it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of brutal. So that's what will happen.
Who's the third interior linebacker? Carter Coughlin or Salitro? Calitro. I say Salitro. It's Calitro.
It could be. I've never heard it pronounced, but it looks like Salitro. I know you're thinking of cilantro.
Yeah, cilantro. It's what I want to call him every time I bring him up.
I would assume Calitro because he's more of that Mike backer, where Carter Coughlin is essentially similar into the role that Micah McFadden is, where it's like he's got some pass rush ability, he can shoot some gaps, but some of the every down backer stuff can be some.
We were wondering why Carter Coughlin remained on the team too. We were like, why is Cam Brown and Carter Coughlin kind of hanging around?
Supposedly Carter's like a big specials guy, but that's just what people tell us. But people just say special teams sometimes.
People just say special teams when they know they're not really good at football. But no, Carter Coughlin, big Kyle Van Noy year. Remember we were giving him those comparisons last year?
Yeah, Carter Coughlin's got talent. Like when I saw Carter Coughlin was still on the roster, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I think he's got some talent there. Don't give up on it.
Put him at edge. Put him on the interior. Tell him get after the quarterback.
Yeah, like if McFadden goes down, I want to see Carter Coughlin play.
Covered Jeremy Ruckert as
that was a good play.
Bobby's favorite tight end from this year's draft. Covered him, flipped his hips pretty well in coverage. So come on, man, let's do it.
I'm glad Coughlin's still on the roster. It's more so now.
Yeah.
Now, we got to still have a lot to talk about, but we're going to talk about SeatGeek first because today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. Live events are back, which means you can get $20 off your tickets at SeatGeek with promo code GIANTS. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. Whether it's football, concerts, basketball, baseball, festivals, or more, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web in one place to make buying simple. If you want to see the Giants play Blake Martinez and the Packers in London, use SeatGeek. SeatGeek rates every ticket from 0 to 10 to make sure you're getting a good deal. Green means good, red means bad. Every ticket on SeatGeek is backed by their buyer guarantee, so you can shop for tickets with confidence. Don't worry, we've got the hookup. Use code GIANTS for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code GIANTS. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app.
Ooh, just had an idea. Shane Zimenez? Really bad as an edge rusher?
Scheme fit.
Scott speed. It's got some high IQ. Let's throw him on the interior. Contract year.
Let's talk about these waiver claims and end this fan fiction once and for all. Five. Tyre Phillips was claimed and was the coinciding move with Blake Martinez. But I want to start with Jason Pinnock first. Sure. I did a film breakdown on him. I think he's the best player out of these 5. He may not have the biggest impact because I think some of the corners may end up playing that we'll talk about. But I like this one. He's 6 foot, 205 pounds. He was acclaimed from the Jets. He was a 5th round pick in 2021. Watching his film, I'll talk about what I saw from him on film, but what I'll say even more so, I was surprised they let him walk and kept Ashton Davis, the 3rd round pick that they got actually from the Leonard Williams trade in 2020.
Jets fans were surprised too.
Yeah, I went and saw. I was like, wow, Jets fan. I watched the film and I was like, Ashton Davis is really bad in the run game. Like, he takes bad run angles and he doesn't do much. He didn't do better than Pinnock in the secondary. But Pinnock only started a couple games, played like a quarter of the snaps. He's a really good athlete with like a good straight line speed, burst, and change of direction. He was a convert from cornerback at Pitt, but that doesn't mean he's going to play corner, and he's not great in man unless he could just really jam a guy up. Like in my breakdown, I went through some man coverage reps that weren't great reps, but he can get his hands on guys and jam up on those times where they line him up on a tight end or something in the nickel. I thought he did a fairly good job playing his role as a deep safety because that's what he played. He played 60% deep, 20% nickel, 20% in the box. Like I thought he did a fairly good job. Like, for the most part, it was disciplined, but there was some times where he kind of, in a sense, played stuff a little too safe, where it's like, you got to read that and go. Like, he wasn't the safety, which these safeties suck the most, honestly, when they're like, I see something, I'm flying and trying to cut that off. And it's like, well, you just let a post go for a touchdown. Yeah. So he doesn't do that, but there was a time where it's like, okay, you need to ID that and get to center field from there. But he does have that speed to play from center field. And there was even one where it's like he did a bad job IDing, but he came in late a hit, and the guy ended up dropping the ball because of the hit.
Against the Jags.
Yeah. But wide receivers did use his leverage and hips against him at times. And he had some box reps, and I thought he looked good when he was in the box. Like, there was very limited reps, but he had a couple read option tackles on Trevor Lawrence in the red zone, forced a fumble on one. He had a forced fumble on Cole Beasley on a 3rd and 10 on an out route catch that went 8 yards. He popped the ball out there. He does punch at the ball, which I like. So I think he's the best claim. But at the end, he's a backup for this year behind McKinney and Love, and probably Belton too, all things considered.
Yeah, I'd agree that he's the best waiver claim. I think the most necessary at the safety position too, because Andrew Adams was cut last week, and I think both Trenton Thompson and Yusuf Corker were cut. Yeah,
they only had 3 safeties on the 53 man.
And Belton's hurt still.
Yeah, but Belton, I think Belton could be back for week 1. The way
could
things
be back.
are
He was back
trending.
out there practicing. Yeah.
But they put Thompson on the practice squad, which makes sense. No one's going to claim Thompson, and they just didn't like Corker. Corker actually went to the Bengals practice squad.
Oh, sorry, Yusuf Corker. Good luck.
So, I like this one. I did the film breakdown on him. It was, there wasn't a lot of plays to go through of him, only 2 starts, but there was some good stuff on there, and there's a reason why Jets fans were upset that they lost this guy for Ashton Davis.
Yeah.
And the beat reporters kind of felt the same. I was talking with Zach, and he's like, yeah, none of us really understand this.
Yeah, well, I like the deep safety experience rather than just a safety that can maybe play the box or, a strong
those
safety.
Those guys are a lot easier to find.
Yeah, but a guy that plays not just safety, but deep safety and single high safety. He had some of those. He had some of those reps too. Had some reps in your film breakdown where he was splitting too high with another safety, sharing half field responsibilities. But had some plays where the entire back end of the field was his, and you got to protect it. So if we can have a guy that can step in at times, hopefully only when necessary. If Dane Belton can't handle that, or if he struggles right away, Pinnock can come in, take care of it. Not a lot of big plays, because really that is the number one priority for this defense this year. Similar to last year, similar to 2020. Do not allow big explosive plays. Even if drives sustain themselves, you're playing some bad teams, you're playing some bad quarterbacks. Hopefully drives are just going to be able to stall out, allow field goals, don't allow touchdowns, and you'll be able to keep the team in the game. And really, I think that's the number one priority for this defense this year. Do not get killed by the 20-plus yard pass play that just flips the game script and does not help defenses.
Yeah, so he's got a good athletic profile. He's got a little bit of playing time, and he's new to the safety position too. Like I mentioned that in the breakdown. Like he's
Jerome
new
Henderson.
to the position. So it was good to, but it was good to see. Like, hey, there were some plays I point out where like he should have done this, but this is a guy who's new to the safety position, and it wasn't like a disaster as far as just like playing the safety position. Not talking about like athletic skill set and stuff. So that was definitely my favorite waiver claim of the 5 for the Giants. Other ones. We'll go to Tyre Phillips next. Tyre or Tyre? I should have looked that up before. Forgive me.
I'm guessing it's Tyre.
6'5", 345 pounds, 25 years old. He was a third-round pick out of 2020. So now we own the Ravens' 2020 third and fourth round O-line picks and Tyre Phillips and Ben Bredeson.
We won the Ben Bredeson trade.
Just some stats on him, pass blocking wise. In 2020, where he started 8 games, he gave 6 sacks, 16 pressures, 1 QB hit allowed. 2021, he started 5 games, 1 sack, 17 pressures, and 3 QB hits allowed. He had some injury issues. He was going to start at guard this year, and then got injured, and then was playing tackle. The Ravens O-line was just banged up. He's got some issues to work for, but he's got like the frame, the athleticism to be a good player, but he's got some fundamental issues in both his hands and feet that he really needs to work for. Like his feet get way too skinny and there's crossover and stuff. Like he opens his hips. He doesn't punch, which leads to bull rushes or a soft shoulder. In the run game, he has false steps with like bad hand and helmet placement. But he seems pretty strong overall, and athleticism is decent. And again, the Giants need backup offensive lineman right now. My question to you, though, because he has that tackle experience, do you put him as the swing tackle right now? Because we don't, Devery Hamilton might be starting at left guard week 1.
You have to. There's no other choice. And what I was thinking about is, why didn't the Giants try and get somebody with a little bit more, not just tackle experience, but just get someone who's better suited for tackle? Because I think Phillips is better suited for guard right now.
The issue is there's no one there.
Correct. That's what I was going to say. Football teams are holding on to good offensive linemen. It's not like the Bucs wide receiver corps where, they have so many where they have to cut Tyler Johnson. That's not how offensive linemen really work in the NFL today. So Phillips has to be the swing tackle at this point, right? Because Devery Hamilton just did not look good against some of the Jets backups. We got no other choice.
Yeah, I think he is, which is, again, not a good situation, but it's kind of what the situation, the issue the Giants are in right now. It's, again, we've talked about rebuilding. This team is stripped down for parts. I've seen a lot of people say, well, at guard, he'll be awesome. Well, he was pretty bad at guard as a rookie. He started 8 games. I think 3 were at tackle, 5 were at guard, but he gave up pressures, sacks. In 8 games, he gave 6 sacks, 16 pressures. Those are worse than like Shane Lemieux numbers.
And if one of the guards goes down, let's just assume that Devery Hamilton is the starting guard right now. I think both Bredeson and Ezeudu would go in over Phillips. Thinking about it.
Oh, Ezeudu, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Ezeudu
Bredeson
and
would be a
Bredeson,
question.
Bredeson possible. Okay.
Yeah, because Bredeson wasn't good when he played last year. I know he had a good preseason game, but they did play this guy over Bredesen and moved on from Bredesen with this guy still on the roster last year.
Good point.
So right now, I would think he's a swing tackle, which is not the best for his development of his NFL career, but it's just a need. The Giants, if Andrew Thomas or Evan Neal goes down, you have to put someone out there. But maybe they just do it with Josh Azudu, even though I've tried to reject that idea all offseason.
Azudu healthy, like good, going week 1?
I think it's trending that way, but I don't know if he's going to start.
Everyone's going to be healthy week 1. Everyone besides
Tony's going to be healthy. He looked good out there.
Yeah, 100%. What did he say anything fun to the media today? Because I was very surprised that the Giants were the one to put out his press conference.
No, you got to put him behind a podium. That's when he starts having fun.
Yeah,
the in the locker room stuff is. I'm actually dreading the beat reporters being in the locker room, because that means that we're just going off of quotes of tweets.
True.
And we see it all the time, how stuff is taken out of context all the time.
Yep.
And then it's like, so the only video we'll get is like, they'll be sending the Giants crew, like, Paul Dottino, Smail with the camera crew over there. And obviously those guys aren't going to ask the toughest questions.
True.
So I think player interviews are going to suck this year from our point of view.
I'm glad they're back in the locker room, though. Like, that's cool. I'm glad they're
if
back
they can
in the
give
locker
us some
room.
information. It's awesome that they're back in the locker room, but don't carry water for the organization. Okay, don't tell us that things were mutual and this was seen from far along. But tell us what happened. Okay, I hate that crap more than anything.
True. Other waiver claims.
We'll go Nick McLeod, 6 foot, 193 pounds, 31 3 inches arms, ran a 4.37 40. Notre Dame guy, was a UDFA by the Bills and was claimed by the Bengals last year after cutdowns, and then rejoined the Bills and was with them during this training camp. I talked with Anthony at Cover One, and I watched him a little bit from the preseason, as much as you could from cornerback broadcast film. He's just a long and very athletic guy, so there is traits there that work for him, and Anthony thought there was a chance that he made the Bills roster, which makes me feel better about him being on ours. He's an outside corner, but he did get some safety reps at Bills camp, but he's an outside corner at the end of the day. Wouldn't categorize him as man or zone. One of his issues, though, in zone is that he gives up too much cushion in zone, which can allow some easy short passes, but he's a guy that's not going to get, like, you just totally burnt all day because of what he plays in zone. And then man, he's good in, playing in trail and man and pressing, can get beat off the release, but, his ball skills aren't great. So, there's another corner we're going to talk about with Justin Lane. Nick McLeod, I think, is the better one. He's got better traits besides Justin Lane has long size and better size and arms. But this is a guy who I think there's a good chance if Aaron Robinson or Adoree Jackson goes down, it's going to be starting cornerback for the New York Giants.
Yeah, Nick McLeod. If Anthony from Cover One says that he's all right, decent, not dog shit, I'll trust him, and I'll be not excited, but ready for Nick McLeod to go in there when Adoree Jackson gets hurt. Yeah,
we knew this was happening with corners with the waiver wires. Like, there was no way they were going to have Zion Gilbert and Khalil Dorsey as like their backup corners after Cordell Flott.
No,
and I think they want Cordell Flott to play in the slot. I really think that's what they want out of him.
Yeah.
I don't think they love Darnay Holmes. So I think that's the role for him. So they're looking for guys that are outside. And I guess we could just talk about Justin Lane and group it in one. He's 6'2", 33-inch arms, long guy. Was a third round pick from the Steelers in 2019, but just never got playing time really. Became like a special team gunner for them. But he just never developed a corner. I watched a little bit of him, and I was talking with our friend Michael Beck from Steelers Nation. But throughout his career, he only played 145 snaps in 3 years. And when he got those snaps, he was targeted 16 times, gave up 13 completions and 164 yards. I think playing style is similar to Aaron Robinson, even though he's a little bigger and longer, where he's press and jam and bump and run guy, but he just loses the release after all of that, and he gives up a lot of separation, So Wink Martindale has his types. This guy fits that type with the 33-inch arms, good size, has a good 37-inch vertical he had at the combine. But I don't. If this guy plays corner, he's going to give you issues. But he is a man corner. He just, like Aaron Robinson, will lose the release pretty badly at times.
There you go. If Justin Lane misses Pittsburgh, if he misses the city, if he misses the stadium, not called Heinz Field anymore, will always be called Heinz Field to me. If he misses it, I got a perfect gift for him. And I have a perfect gift for anybody in my life with Stadium Map Art. That's right. New sponsor. Stadium Map Art pushes laser engraving to the limit, creating detailed wooden 3D stadiums, coasters, maps, and magnets. Checked out the website today and kinda in love with it, and I recommend that you check it out too. I mean, just such detailed. So what I'm most interested in is like the maps. So there's maps of like New Jersey and New York with like all of the different stadiums that's in like the tri-state area. So very, very cool. There's over 150 stadiums to choose from and counting. They're great for living rooms, fan caves, and sports bars anywhere. Looks great even when not in use and is sure to be a conversation piece around any table. Hey, where'd you get that wooden MetLife Stadium? I got it from Stadium Map Art. Very cool. That's how that conversation would go. Now they can imagine themselves at the stadium of their favorite team while enjoying a drink at home. A lot of international listeners, I think this would even be good for you. Over 10,000 coasters shipped so far. Are you the worst gift ever? Find the perfect gift for the sports fan in your life. 3D stadium coasters, maps, and magnets, handcrafted and laser engraved in the USA by Stadium Map Art. Find your team's stadium at stadiummapart.com and use Giants15, that's Giants15, to get $15 off your next order over $50.
I was just reading a story put out by someone to see if it has any reasoning on why the word mutual was used in
And I'm guessing that someone is not someone who you want to say his name.
No, it's Jordan, and there's
Jordan.
It just says mutual, but no one says it,
But what does that mean?
And he said that he left the locker room rather quickly when reporters entered, but Leonard, I guess, but I don't think Pat Leonard would lie about this. Said like, "Hey, welcome back," who messed up my, so I don't.
Who messed up my locker?
Like he was joking, like what I mean.
Why'd they have to give it to who's Justin Lane? Who's Tyre? Who's Tyre Phillips? Tyre
Everyone
Phillips?
is saying it never seemed like a fit, and I just don't like. Why did no one say this before yesterday?
But seriously, guys, why does Tyre Phillips have my locker? Am I cut? No.
It's I don't know.
Not really.
I just that's the thing I hate the most about reporting is the after the fact, like, oh yeah, it was just never. It's like,
saw this coming.
It's like just say it should have happened in March.
Yes,
it's like no one. It's like if you had been saying this 2 weeks ago, say it, but no one said it. We watched Blake like the first day of camp. I was watching Blake Martinez. I was like, he looks good. He looks fast. They weren't in pads that day, but it's like he looks like he's moving around well out there.
And the second, I think it was...
How bad was Blake Martinez in coverage that the Giants couldn't complete a pass in for half the days in camp?
One of the practices where Brian Dable is talking about load management for Blake Martinez and he'll be back when he's back, The next day, he's back at practice. And he's back at practice like in pads with the team. Not getting 100% of the first team reps, but... he was out there, and I'm like, oh, Brian Dable literally just talked about this, saying we'll see when he's out there, and then the next day he's out there. So, and this was early, like the second week of camp when we were there.
So, last waiver claim, I believe. Yeah, Jack Anderson, 6'5", 315-pound offensive lineman. He was a Bills 7th rounder last year out of Texas Tech. He was cut in a 53-man cutdowns last year, and the Eagles claimed him. Started one game for them. Center guard flexibility. Like in the preseason, they literally put him at left guard, center, and right guard. Now, he gave up a lot of pressures, and he looked bad in the preseason, and obviously the Eagles ended up cutting him. But he did start one game for the Eagles last year, and he didn't look half bad. Like there's some good reps out there, especially in the run game. Like he's not the most athletic guy, but he gets out there and moves in the run game, and he packs a punch. There's some fun reps. Like he plays with some toughness and a chip on his shoulder. I would expect him to be like center depth.
Would you call him a dirtbag?
Yeah, yes, I actually would. I would call Jack Anderson a dirtbag. I think his role for the Giants they should let him focus at center, because I don't think he's ever going to be the greatest pass protector to play at guard. Like he gave up, I think 7 pressures in 3 preseason games for a guard. Like that's bad. Like that's really bad.
Not good.
And to me, he had like a soft shoulder. Like he just allowed guys to get upfield, and you can't do that at guard. You ruin a pocket. You let them do easy. You make stunts the easiest thing in the world when you do that. You screw your tackle. So he had that. But at the end of the day, I think this guy should be trying to work at center. But he's fun to watch. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. He packs a punch. Like I wish we could have had him for the preseason.
Agreed. That would have been nice.
Well, no, I'm serious. And just let him work at center instead of doing Jamil Douglas. And this guy plays center today. And this guy plays center today.
McGinn, who was the tackle that played center? Garrett McGinn. Yeah.
Will Holden, played center. I mean, it was pretty brutal.
They had tackles playing center.
But I wouldn't expect this guy to play this year. Like I would expect him behind the depth chart behind Lemieux. And I think they would even though I might have more hope for Jack Anderson long term, I think they would pit Tyre Phillips ahead of him initially.
I agree with that. I mean, Tyre Phillips just has more game experience, more NFL experience, drafted higher for whole 4 rounds higher. So
more athletic, and that's what they value in this scheme is athleticism with their offensive linemen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what? All it takes is a couple things happening. Shane Lemieux's on IR. Feliciano goes down, and you don't trust any of these guys at center. Jack Anderson could be thrown in there. We saw crazier stuff happen last year. So
yeah,
you're not going to put Tyre Phillips at center. All right, that's it for the waiver claims. We went through that quicker than I thought.
Found a solution for swing tackle. Nick Gates.
He was a good swing tackle in 2019. He just had the best game out of all the offensive linemen in this game.
I want somebody to make a list of all the outrageous claims that I've made this episode. So Nick Gates, swing tackle, O'Shane Zimenez and Jihad Ward, interior linebacker number 1. Tyre Phillips stole Blake Martinez's locker. Make a list of all the outrageous jokes and claims I've made on this episode.
Do you want to talk about Tony Jefferson and Wyatt Davis of the practice squad first, or talk about Quincy Roche and stuff?
I seriously want to talk about this. I want to talk about Davis Webb is an idiot. He is a full-blown idiot. I swore on my life that he would make this 53-man roster.
Because Duggan told us he would.
Yes, and do you not trust Tony Award-winning beat reporter journalist Dan Duggan?
I still don't think that's over yet, though. I would wait until week 1 kicks off. Because I think there's still a chance he ends up back on their active roster.
Carter Coughlin, goodbye. Well, no, they only have 4 interior linebackers. What am I talking about?
But I'm saying, I would hold off on that because I think I would wait until week 1 to make that claim because I think there's a chance that he ends up on the active roster by then.
He had the Bills QB coach locked up, offered to him. It is yours if you want it. You're the quarterback coach for Josh Allen. And then you have the fast track to being an offensive coordinator. And if you have the fast track to being an offense coordinator who was helping out Josh Allen, then you also have the fast track to low-key becoming a head coach. And what is he, 27, 28 years old? And then you're like the next McVay. Now, at least as of right now, like you said, it may not be over. He's back on the practice squad with another team. It is mind-boggling to me.
I do think you underestimate how much these guys want to continue throwing a football.
I know, but... All right, so idiot's a strong word, and I apologize for that.
Also, I'm glad the Giants are doing that. I don't want to keep 3 QBs on the roster.
I don't want 3 QBs on the roster, but I figured that Davis Webb, just for money purposes, because it makes sense you get more money being on an active roster than a practice squad. So, I don't know. All right, so that's my throwaway thing that I want to talk about.
Well, let's do the other practice squad stuff. Tony Jefferson signed to the practice squad. He's going to be a part of the actual roster at some point, whether it's the first 2 games or call-ups to avoid some of the guaranteed money for the cap space. But he's a part of this roster. He's not like a deep safety anymore. He's I was talking with Ken McCusick of Film Study Ravens, and
he's Deion Grant.
He's a dime. He's like a dime back. when you want to run, a dime package, you put Tony Jefferson out there and you play him in the box. I mean, that's where he's played the last couple of years, anyways. Is in the box. He doesn't play deep. He doesn't play deep anymore. On obvious passing down situations too. You could even like Ken McCusick, you could replace the Mike linebacker on passing down situations with Tony Jefferson. And he said he probably would have been the Ravens special team captain had he come back. So Tony Jefferson's a part of this roster. Like, I know it's the practice squad, but he's a part of this roster. And he could be like, I can see a path to him being like the third safety, even if all guys are healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a different skill set than Dane Belton. Certainly has a different skill set than Pinnock, too. So, like I said, Deion Grant.
Smart, knows Wink Martindale's scheme. Like, he seems like a great dude, too, from what everybody's told me that works around the Ravens. Ken McCusick. I'm not talking to a bunch of Ravens people, but Ken McCusick. Like, he's a great guy. And he could play that box role. So Tony Jefferson is going to be on this team and a part of it, even though he's 30 years old and, this year is not about winning and playing the future. Tony Jefferson is going to be on the team and he's going to get reps. And I think he's going to get reps as the third safety at times. Maybe not all the third safety reps. They'll, work Dane Belton in, but Tony Jefferson, week 1, week 2 is going to get reps on the defense.
Cool. Let's do it.
The other practice squad, Quincy Roche we'll talk about too, but that's like not even like, that's more of like being cut from the active roster. Wyatt Davis, the 3rd round pick from the Vikings.
You loved him.
We never talk more badly, or at least maybe me, about a player in the draft than Wyatt Davis. Now, part of it was because people were saying he was a high 2nd round pick, and I was like, this guy is a 4th round pick at best. Ended up getting cut. He's strong as an ox. So you watch his Ohio State, stuff, and there's some highlight plays in there. But I had never seen a guy that was touted like he was be so sloppy with his technique. Like, it was miserably bad. Like, everything was bad about it. His game needs total reworking. That being said, that's what the practice squad's for. Like, let this guy who's got some pedigree work on his game. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy in the NFL, but this is a good flyer. Similar to Isaiah Wilson. Where did Isaiah Wilson pan out? No, but it was a very fine and a good thing for the Giants to bring him to the practice squad last year. Like, there's no downside to it.
Yeah, it was a good thing that every week we would get questions of, is Isaiah Wilson going to be activated? Is he going to start at right tackle this week? So if one of our guards gets hurt, it'll be, hey, can Wyatt Davis start this week, even though he's probably not very good?
And listen, he has good ability. Like, he's not the most athletic guy in the world, but he is strong as hell, and he can fold guys. That was the most positive thing I had about him in the draft, is he's able to fold guys, but his just footwork is sloppy. He doesn't work like I questioned his work ethic because of how bad some of his stuff was, like stunts and stuff. And then you heard he came into Vikings camp overweight last year. Mm-hmm. And then obviously the new staff, like he didn't play a single snap on offense for them last year, and then the new staff came in and parted ways with him. But glad he's on the practice squad. Let's talk about Quincy Roche. Maybe even saving the best for last. But before we talk about Quincy Roche, we're going to talk about DraftKings. The wait is almost over. A no football season is about to begin. Get ready for the NFL Week 1 action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. Want more action for opening night? Everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. Get up 7, you win. Bet on any NFL team of your choice, and if your team leads by 7 points at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. I wouldn't do that for the Giants, though, because our defense is so bad. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code JOHNBOY to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code JOHNBOY only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
I have a question for you.
Go for it. Is
we
it
got
a serious
time.
question?
It's a serious question. It's an NFL question. We got time. We're going to talk about Quincy Roche. Do you have a Super Bowl pick yet?
Yeah. Should I say it?
I have mine. Yeah, let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Ravens.
Chiefs.
Ooh, nice.
The Chiefs have gotten, in a sense, almost underrated, and I thought they had besides losing Tyreek Hill, they had a great offseason.
Love it. Yeah, their draft class was awesome. Okay, Quincy Roche.
So the Giants cut Quincy Roche, made it to the practice squad, which at first I was very surprised that he went to the practice squad, because I was like, why would he, like, I know he didn't get claimed by 31 other teams, but it's like, other practice squads are out there available.
Bizarre.
You think he would go there where he values, where another team,
they value him.
Where he was not valued over scrubs by this team. But I think at the same point, Quincy Roche has been a part of this team. Kayvon and Aziz are out, and he knows that those other guys are scrubs. So he's like, you know what, this is, bite the bullet. This is my best chance of playing eventually, because he didn't get claimed. So I'm glad he's on the practice squad, but just cutting him over O'Shane Ximines, Ellerson Smith, who's on IR, Jihad Ward, Timon Fox even.
What? Like, that's the thing that I can't believe. Like, forget we were having an O'Shane versus Quincy Roche conversation because that's what we thought it would boil down to. I didn't think it would boil down to Quincy Roche versus Timon Fox, who I like as a UDFA.
Yeah, I like Timon Fox.
But, come on.
But I am going to boil it down to or O'Shane Ximines, though, because at least Timon Fox is a rookie.
Yeah.
If I would have tweeted 2 months ago that I think O'Shane Ximines should make the team and Quincy Roche won it, everyone would have called me a moron. They wouldn't have just been like, oh, I disagree. They would have been like, that is a moronic take. He's younger, and he outperformed, and not only just like outperformed in stats and stuff, which he did. O'Shane Ximines hasn't had a sack since 2019. Not only did it outperform Jihad Ward, who was in his 6th season and never has done anything better than Quincy Roche has. Not only is O'Shane Ximines and Ellerson Smith dog shit run defenders, can't set an edge, issues. Like when everyone was, going crazy over Evan Neal driving that guy 15 yards back in the Fan Fest, my thing was like, why is Ellerson Smith playing with the first team? He can't defend the run. You have to be able to defend the run on the edge. And Quincy Roche could do that. And guess what? Jihad Ward is a net negative as a pass rusher. Quincy Roche is not. And again, I hate you're acting like this guy's Lawrence Taylor. 31 other teams didn't claim him. All I'm simply fucking saying is that Quincy Roche is, without a doubt, better than O'Shane Ximines and younger. That's all it means. It's the same argument Jets fans are making, like, why did we, when we're talking about, like, ooh, Jets fans are mad about, Jason Pinnock being moved. It's the same thing, but guess what? Quincy Roche's proved more in his NFL career more than Jason Pinnock. I'm hoping, because he's on the practice squad, I'm hoping at some point, like, finally they accept it. But every argument is, what scheme? Because people are like, well, O'Shane Ximines is a better scheme fit. What scheme values a guy who has less pass rush production and is a dog shit run defender? Tell me what scheme that is, please. Because if that's the scheme, I want to fire Wink Martindale if that's the scheme.
Yeah.
So I think what it comes down to is this is a new regime. And they have prior beliefs on some of these guys from what they did in the draft. And they probably had a higher viewpoint of O'Shane Ximines than they did Quincy Roche. Yeah. I really think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
I think it's as simple as that.
Wink Martindale starts off.
And Drew Wilkins said it in a press conference, like he loved him in the draft.
Yeah, there was a behind the scenes clip, where I think it was Wink Martindale said, like, look at the skyline. This is our city. Let's win some fucking games. Blah blah blah. He said something like that. In that same behind the scenes clip that everybody loved, people are also giving praise that Wink Martindale said, our identity's got to be stopping the run, right? That's got to be part of our identity this year, right? And lo and behold, like, I don't even think this is, it's our opinion, but O'Shane Ximines is bad against the run and Quincy Roche is not.
Yeah, it's simple. And everyone agreed with us until this is the most annoying thing. And I know I hate to do like the argue against Twitter on a podcast because that's not what this is about. And I'd never want to make our show that, but it's the honeymoon phase where they can't do anything wrong. Like people will be mad that we said that the Giants should have cut Blake Martinez and saved $2 million, which is just like, those are facts. You can't argue with that. Even like, again, we're not making the biggest deal in the world about it, but They should have better foresight. That's a fact. So Quincy Roche is a flat-out better player than all of the other guys besides Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari, who, by the way, are injured. So well, guess what? We're going to need some of these guys on the roster to play week 1.
Yeah. Can't wait to see O'Shane Ximines making some run stops against
People
Derrick
are
Henry.
in love with Jihad Ward's leadership now. You know, he's going to be Kareem Martin for the New York Giants. I'm serious. That's what he's going to be.
Yeah. That's what his career has been. That's what I think Kareem Martin might have had a more higher sack year. Let's look it up on Pro Football Reference. Oh, I'm banging my knee against my desk, getting excited. I get to go on Pro Football Reference.
Jihad Ward's a net negative as a pass rusher.
Let's see. What do you know on the top of your head? Jihad Ward's best sack season?
I think 3.5 maybe.
Nope, lied. Kareem Martin.
Jihad Ward or Kareem Martin?
Kareem Martin has a best 1.5 sack season.
Oh, okay. But again, did Quincy Roche outperform these guys, and not just by like stats, but like the eye test too. Like he was clearly better than these guys. So
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm glad he's on the practice squad, and I like Quincy, man, and I hope he proves him wrong. He's not Lawrence Taylor. You know, that shouldn't be the bar for wanting a guy on the roster over a bad player.
Hater.
O'Shane Ximines sucks. It's something you guys all believe in and agree with deep down in your heart.
Deep down in your heart. I also know deep down in my heart we're going to beat Tennessee. And that's that.
All right, anything else? I thought this was going to be a longer episode than it was.
No.
But, we were short and concise. We appreciate you guys. So, all right, we'll be back on Tuesday with a mailbag pod. The tweet is already out if you want to go and ask a question. I put it out so we can maybe do that a little earlier because I have my fantasy football draft that night.
Holiday weekend.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend. Enjoy some college football. We appreciate you guys. This is your last weekend without the New York Giants, so savor it. Enjoy it. Spend some time with the family because guess what? You're getting ready to neglect those family. And put a smile on your face because Giants depression is coming right around the corner. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you on Tuesday. Enjoy your weekend. Until then, let's go Big Blue.